Okay, guys, and we're back with another episode of the Seth Solo Side Quest. I'm Seth from the Lonely Stunner podcast, and this is episode 40 of my side quest. Crazy, crazy to think how far we've come in such a short period of time. Episode 40 already. We've been dropping episodes daily. Um, Even some days I'm recording multiple episodes in one day, and then obviously spacing them out over a couple of days. But it's been an insane run we're on, and it's just the start. We're hoping to go, even further in this run. Like I said, uploading daily for over a month at this point. We're at episode 40. A lot to be proud of, but we're gonna get straight into it. It's gonna be mostly a boxing episode. This episode today, and we'll kick it off with actually an MMA legend, but this is regarding boxing. It's Chris Cyborg, the MMA featherweight women's legend. Won belts in multiple promotions, Bellator, UFC, Strikeforce, Invicta, done loads in the sport. Chris Cyborg. She's now making her return to boxing, and she's facing Karen Fernandez in a 4 round fight. Oh, this is actually happening next week. That's crazy. This fight is at well, no. But when this video is being recorded, this fight is for March the 3rd. By the time this episode comes out, it'll be much after March the 3rd. But yeah, Chris Cyborg's fighting next weekend on March 3rd in Medellin in Colombia. Now, I don't know, I couldn't tell you the first thing about Karen Fernandez, but I believe Chris Cyborg's probably going to win this fight. As far as I know, Chris Cyborg is unbeaten in boxing. She's she competed twice in 2024. And the other one, so she's fought twice in boxing in 2024. One was her professional fight, and one was an exhibition, and she won both of them by knockout. So yeah, Chris Cyborg's back in the ring, no doubt. This will be another stoppage win for her because Chris Cyborg, she's damn near. I was gonna say not human, but I know Chris Cyborg cancelled Dana White for calling her Vanderlei. I mean, it is a valid comparison to be fair. Chris Cyborg did and does look a lot like Vanderlei. But salute, getting out here beating up these women. Because again, nobody she's gonna face is gonna be able to fight like she can, apart from Amanda Nunes, who done that. But other than Amanda Nunes, like no one else could do that. She's beating up a who's who in women's MMA. Some great names on her resume. Gina Carano, not Amanda Nunes, obviously not Amanda Nunes. Holly Holm, Julia Budd. A lot of wins, and she's even recently beat the PFL featherweight champion Larissa Pacheco. Right, so Chris Cyborg's no joke when it comes to the boxing. Well, no joke in MMA, and she's unbeaten in boxing. So she's not someone who I'd want to face, even though at 145 I'd give her a good run for her money, and I think she'd know that. But no, I'm not offering out Chris Cyborg for a fight. That's definitely not what's happening here. But yeah, Chris Cyborg's back to boxing. Karen Fernandez, I hope you're getting paid well because it's not worth it. To get the beating you're probably going to get from Chris Cyborg, just hope you're making enough money, right? Another news we've got a report saying that Canelo's expected to face the winner of Chris Eubank Jr. v Conor Benn to finish off his 3-fight plan with Riyadh season. Now, this would be a very, very easy fight for Canelo, whoever he was to face. Because Canelo is miles better of a boxer than both of these guys, right? Say Conor Benn wins, Canelo would just have his way with him. Conor Benn is too small. The heaviest he's fought at is 154. And he's naturally not even a 154, and naturally he's a 147 welterweight. Really. That's what he is. But even that, even his style, he's not a good enough boxer to be able to consistently apply the pressure that's necessary for a fighter like Conor Benn to have a good fight against Canelo. Like, the only way Conor Benn can have a good fight against Canelo is if he's pressuring him, putting him against the ropes, and sort of unloading on him. Even then, even if he was able to do that, there's no guarantee he'd be able to land anything on Canelo as well. And that's assuming Conor Benn has enough power at what I'm assuming would be at least middleweight, assuming he has enough power to keep a guy like Canelo Alvarez honest, because he might not. But we'll see in this Chris Eubank fight if his power can translate. But we haven't seen anything from Conor Benn as of now that shows that he could probably be a huge... Let's just say that he's knocked out a lot of opponents and he's got a lot of vicious knockouts, and vicious TKOs and stoppages, but it's not like he's sleeping these fools. He's got a few nice knockouts, but a lot of it is TKOs and stuff like that. And he's clearly got the quickness for it, no doubt about that. He can definitely unload shots quickly and clearly puts a lot behind those shots. But doing that to a middleweight who in Canelo's taking shots from Bivol at light heavyweight, Kovalev at light heavyweight, and even at middleweight took clean shots from Triple G. Shots that were clean on the jaw in the face of Triple G. He just shook his head. And I guarantee you Triple G's a harder puncher than Conor Benn. At middleweight, for sure. At middleweight, for sure. So then if you can't knock Canelo out and you can't really pressure him, you're going to have to outbox him. And again, look at the guys who have outboxed Canelo. Bivol and Floyd. Conor Benn is no Dimitri Bivol and he's sure as hell no Floyd Mayweather. So I don't really see any path to victory other than a knockout shot, but Canelo's never been knocked out. Canelo doesn't get knocked out. So he's really got no clear path to victory for me if Conor Benn was to win. And to be honest, I'd probably say the same for Chris Eubank Jr. as well. Again, Chris Eubank Jr. obviously is a natural middleweight and is a lot bigger than Conor Benn and has been in there with not even super top caliber guys, but because he's not been in there with a boxer as good as Canelo, but he's lost to the likes of George Groves, to the likes of Billy Joe Saunders, who were very good boxers, but again, were nowhere near on the level of a Canelo. And Canelo beat the brakes off of Billy Joe as well with one punch, butchered his face, like collapsed his eye or something, And Billy Joe Saunders beat Chris Eubank easily. And that was Chris Eubank near his prime as well. Now he's past his prime. But even in his prime, he lost to Billy Joe Saunders, who then got packed by Canelo. Right? Chris Eubank probably is a bit better of a technical boxer. Conor Benn's a lot more of a brawler, a lot more of an inside fighter, so he's going to be willing to take shots, to give shots. Whereas Chris Eubank's going to be more defensive, and he's not going to throw. I don't think at this point in his career, he's going to be throwing the way he used to throw as well. I don't think he's going to do that. Even if he was, even a prime Chris Eubank probably doesn't do much against Canelo. A prime Chris Eubank Jr. loses handedly in a 12-round decision to Canelo. I don't think he stops him. Actually, he got stopped by Liam Smith. We're talking about a guy who got stopped by Liam Smith. He could get stopped by Canelo. He really could get stopped by Canelo. Especially Canelo, who's coming down from light heavyweight. Well, and has recently fought at super middleweight, but is strong at super middleweight compared to Chris Eubank, who was always regarded as a small super middleweight. Was always regarded as that. So yeah, for Canelo, whoever he gets, it'd be an easy payday. I would probably prefer Chris Eubank, if I'm being honest. If Chris Eubank was to beat Conor Benn and I was Canelo, I would rather fight Chris Eubank Jr. because he's at that point 35, 36, been through some fights, has been stopped by Liam Smith, has been beaten multiple times. I think it's probably an easier fight for him. Whereas Conor Benn, if he was to win, he'd still be an unbeaten prospect-ish. No, he's still young. He is still young. He's still an unbeaten prospect, a big name in the UK. They could do that fight in, the O2, or maybe even Tottenham. To be fair, they could do it at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, to be fair, actually. That'd be a great event. Conor Eubank beats Chris Eubank Jr. at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, then 6 months later faces Canelo again at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And Conor Benn wouldn't win that fight. He wouldn't win that fight. But the celebrity that he would get from that would kind of make it worth it. So even if he was to beat Chris Eubank Jr. and then lose to Canelo, he could still go back down to welterweight and start demanding world title shots. even go down to junior middleweight and demand world title shots. So, a business point of view, it makes sense for Conor Benn, but Conor Benn has to get through Chris Eubank Jr. first. I don't even think he'll do that. I think Chris Eubank Jr. is still far too big, and it really all comes down to, can Conor Benn's power translate? If it can translate, then he can cause some problems, because we've seen Chris Eubank being stopped at this point. We've seen him be stopped. So, do you know what I mean? And I think Conor Benn's a bigger puncher than Liam Smith. Even though Liam Smith was a bit bigger than Conor Eubank. Conor Eubank. Than Conor Benn. So, it'll be an interesting fight nonetheless. An easy fight for Canelo, whoever it is, probably. I think Canelo probably just walks his way into that fight and walks out pretty unscathed, probably. Depending on what weight class it is at as well. I'd imagine he'd fight... To be fair, I could see him fight Chris Eubank at super middleweight. But there's some contenders there. Maybe if he fights him at middleweight, that wouldn't be an awful shout. Assuming Canelo can still make middleweight. I don't think he's fought at middleweight in a while now. He's only really been fighting at 168, 175, but it's only 8 pounds. And Canelo's not huge in terms of height. He is quite broadly built, so those guys are it's a bit easier for those guys to lose weight, so maybe he can still make 160. But yeah, whoever he gets, it's a smart move for Canelo for saying this, and if he has said this and those reports would make sense. That would be a fight that would make good business for Riyadh season for Canelo and for Chris Eubank Jr. or Conor Benn. But yeah, it's been episode 40 of the Seth Solo Side Quest. Wow, like I said, crazy to think we've come this far in 40 episodes. But yeah, 40 episodes in, and I'm out. Peace.